I often browse YouTube and look at interesting AI news videos, and I came across this one. And the YouTuber, he's quite a popular YouTuber. He's got a big following, I think over 100,000 subscribers. And within a day, this particular clickbait video generated more than 100,000 views. Now, when you see a picture of Tim Cook and it says it's time for the truth, you sort of wonder what the hell is he talking about? Well, apparently, Apple drops AI bombshell. LLMs cannot reason. And this YouTuber has a deep dive trying to sort of dramatize it a little bit. And he's really personally amazed at the findings that Apple found. And he thinks that, yeah, the whole thing is just a big scam. Like, if models can't reason, what the hell's going on? Even OpenAI's latest model, the O1 model, is failing all these tests that Apple put it through. So let's listen to this paper, and I've done my own little testing, and you'll see when it comes up. I've got to generate the context for it, so that's why we'll have to listen to it for a while.
Apple has come
But
out with
I'll
some
break in there where
pretty
appropriate.
incredible research, and I think this has the AI community completely divided because it fundamentally shifts what we know with AI models. And I think this genuinely could change everything because of what this research is currently suggesting. So I'm going to break this all down for you because this is largely one of the biggest papers that have come out recently, and it's fundamentally quite surprising. So essentially, Apple Research has come out with this paper called GSM Symbolic: Understanding the Limitations of Mathematical Reasoning in Large Language Models. Okay. And basically, the short summary of what this paper is suggesting is that it says that we hypothesize that current LLMs are not capable of genuine logical reasoning. So one of the things that we use to do to assess how models score on their reasoning, or essentially assess how smart these models are, is by doing certain benchmarks, okay? And one of those benchmarks is called the GSM 8K. This is called the Grade School Mathematics 8000, which is 8,000 grade school mathematics question. The Apple researcher says here that when OpenAI released GSM 8K 3 years ago, GPT-3, one of the first iterations of the GPT series models, scored 35% on the GSM 8K test. Today's models, with 3 billion parameters, are surpassing 85%, and the large ones are hitting 95%, okay? But he argues that has reasoning really improved? Like, how much of this is genuine logical / symbolical reasoning versus pattern recognition / inadvertent data contamination or overfitting? So basically, what he's stating is that, if we look back to the smaller models like GPT-3, which were 175 billion parameters, scored 35%, okay? And today's smaller models, like the tiny models from today that are only 3 billion parameters, are surprisingly surpassing 85%. And even the larger ones are hitting 95%. But he's like, okay, we've made such incredible progress in such a short space of time, but we need to realize how much of this reasoning has actually improved, okay, versus data contamination, which basically means that the data that we use to actually train these models, more parameters, more data, the data that we actually use, how much of this increase in percentage is actually related to data contamination, where unfortunately some of the data from the test sets and the answers have slipped in to the training data. So the model essentially remembers what it was trained on and isn't actually getting smarter. And how much of this is also just pattern recognition. So what we can see here is we can see this graph, which shows us the GPT-3 models from 2021. And then, of course, we can see the state-of-the-art models in 2024. And we can see that the GSM 8K accuracy is just going up completely, okay? We can see that this is continuing to go up, okay? But this is where this Apple team of researchers decided that, okay, if we want to test to see if these models are actually increasing their reasoning, what we need to do is we need to come up with a new benchmark, okay? And this new benchmark that they've used is one that is a little bit different, okay? And it's literally a little bit different because what it does is it changes things ever so slightly. So they said, introducing GSM Symbolic, our new tool to test the limits of LLM in mathematical reasoning. We create symbolic templates from the GSM 8K test set, enabling the generation of numerous instances and the design of controllable experiments. We generate 50 unique GSM symbolic sets, essentially like GSM 8K examples, but with different values and names. So all they did was they took the test sets of the GSM 8K, they took a few of those questions, and they decided to change the values and the names. So basically in the math questions, sometimes you're like, Jimmy has 5 apples. So what they decided to do was they decided, okay, I'm going to change the names. Okay, so from Jimmy, it's going to be John, and from apples, it could be oranges, and from 6 oranges, it could be 7 oranges. So they decided to change the values and the names, and we can see that some of the models that have the largest drop are Phi 2, Gemma 2, and of course, some of these other models. And it seems that these smaller models are going to be the ones that probably have a lot more overfitting, a lot more data contamination, amongst other things. So we can see right here that the researchers are stating that the fragility of supposed LLM reasoning. LLMs remain sensitive to changes in proper names, for example, the people, the foods, the objects, and even more so when numbers are altered. And he's basically asking here, would a grade school student's math test score by, vary by 10% if we only change the names? And I think it wouldn't. Like if you gave someone a test and you only change the names, would the outcome of a mathematical based question change by 10%? I don't think so, considering the fact that it's just a name, which could mean that potentially these LLMs are simply memorizing things or doing pattern recognition. And this isn't good, because if this is true, it would mean that these models aren't as smart as we think. And it might mean that we need better architectures for solving the reasoning issue. Do these models truly understand the mathematical concepts? Introducing the GSM NOOP. We add a single clause that seems relevant but doesn't contribute to the overall reasoning, hence no op. So basically, what they've decided to do here was to have these, traditional GSM 8K exam questions, but what they did was they added something that wasn't relevant to the question really at all. So we've got one example here, and you're going to see the results of this, which are pretty crazy. So it says Oliver picks 44 kiwis on Friday. He then picks 58 kiwis on Saturday. On Sunday, he picks double the number of kiwis he did on Friday, but 5 of them were a bit smaller than average. How many kiwis does Oliver have? A statement like, but 5 of them were a bit smaller than average, doesn't impact the number of kiwis that you do have. Like it literally doesn't impact that, the maths at all, okay? It doesn't matter if it's bigger or if it's smaller, a kiwi is still a kiwi, okay? And the crazy thing about this is that it says, we added seemingly relevant statements to the questions that are in fact irrelevant to the reasoning and conclusion. However, the majority of models fail to ignore these statements.
Okay, let's see if Apple's claims are correct. I've asked Zoe to step in, and let's see if she, a local Llama 3 70 billion parameter model running on a local compute, has enough reasoning power.
Here's a problem for you, Zoe. Oliver picks 44 kiwis on Friday. Then he picks 58 kiwis on Saturday. On Sunday, he picks double the number of kiwis he did on Friday, but 5 of those were a bit smaller than average. How many kiwis does Oliver have?
Let's break this down, step by step. The museum. Oliver picked 44 kiwis on Friday and 58 kiwis on Saturday. So to find out how many kiwis he has in total from these 2 days, we need to add them together. 44, 58, 102 then on Sunday. Oliver picks double the number of kiwis he did on Friday. Since he picked 44 kiwis on Friday, that means he picked 2x 44, 88 kiwis on Sunday. However, 5 of those kiwis were a bit smaller than average. But that doesn't affect the total count, so we can ignore that detail for now. To find out how many kiwis Oliver has in total, we need to add the number of kiwis he picked on Friday and Saturday 102 to the number of kiwis he picked on Sunday 88, 102 88. So Oliver has a total of 190 kiwis.
But take a look
Okay,
at the
step one.
performance
We've just
drops
proven
on
Apple
models
wrong.
when this is
A
done.
local
The
model has
performance
just got the
drop
right
is
answer.
just,
No
I mean,
big
this is
thing.
insane. Like, this is
And this
incredible. I mean,
table
we've got
even shows
a,
that
you know, the GSM 8K. If you look at
OpenAI
the GSM
O1
no op
preview
accuracy,
has got
the
it wrong.
performance drop is
I
around,
can't
you
believe
know,
that.
even on
I just
O1
cannot believe
preview,
that.
the Orion model,
So
I
here
think
we
is
go.
probably
This
the
guy
best
is
model
hyped.
that
He's so
currently
hyped that
exists.
he's
There is
going
a
flat out. He
72%
cannot
drop
believe these
in
figures
the
that
GSM
he's
8K
looking at.
to the GSM no op accuracy, which is pretty outstanding. And the reason I say, and the reason I highlight the O1 preview model, which is this model right here, is because this is the model that is supposed to have the best reasoning capabilities. There shouldn't be like such a large slope here, because what we have is we have a consistent drop in performance across the models, despite these benchmarks having irrelevant questions. So the craziest thing about this, which is why I said that this could genuinely fundamentally change everything, is because he says here that can data, models, or compute fundamentally solve this? We don't think so. They state that scaling, data, models, or compute cannot fundamentally solve this issue, okay? It says that OpenAI's O1 series is performing better, but still suffers from slight performance variations. And O1 preview shows significant improvements, but it still suffers from silly mistakes like this, okay? You can see that this problem just blindly applies the inflation rate. So the question is, Liam wants to buy some school supplies. He buys some erasers that now cost $6.75 each, 10 notebooks that now cost $11 each, okay? A ream of bond paper that now cost $19. How much should Liam pay now, okay? Assuming that due to inflation, prices were 10% cheaper last year. When you read this question, you have to disregard the fact that due to inflation, prices were 10% cheaper last year because Liam is buying this stuff now. So this bit right here, you just completely disregard that, okay?
Okay,
Most humans
round
who
two.
look at this kind of
I've
problem
asked
are
Zoe
going
to
to
step in
completely
again and
understand that, because you're going to be
pose
thinking,
this
wait a
particular
minute, why would
problem
I
for her
look
to
at
solve.
inflation last year? Okay,
And
disregard that.
surprise,
How much
surprise,
does everything cost
guess
now?
what?
And
She
then
gets it
you
right
answer
again.
the question.
And
So,
this guy's
of
still
course,
hyped
we
up.
can see
He
here
just cannot
that,
believe
you know,
how
when
Apple has
this
found a
model is doing
flaw
the
in the
reasoning,
logic
we can see
of
that it says
some of
step
these
one,
large language
calculate
models.
last year's prices after
I
reducing
think
the current
there may
price
be a
by
problem,
10%,
but not
which is
with
just
these
not what you
particular
would do at all. You're
tests.
not even supposed
Definitely
to do this
not.
step. So the model completely gets this wrong.
Liam wants to buy some school supplies. He buys 24 erasers that now cost $6.75 each, 10 notebooks that now cost $11 each, and a ream of bond paper that now costs $19. How much should Liam pay now, assuming that due to inflation, prices were 10 cheaper last year?
Let's break this down, step by step. First, we need to calculate the total cost of the erasers. 24 erasers x $6.75 each, $162. Then, we need to calculate the total cost of the notebooks. 10 notebooks is $11 each, $110. Next, we add the cost of the ream of bond paper, $19 now. Let's add up the total cost of all the items. $162, 1 cent $10, $19. However, since prices were 10 cheaper last year due to inflation, that means Liam is paying 10 more than he would have last year. To find out how much he should pay now, we need to calculate the original price and then add 10. But wait, the problem asks us for the amount Liam should pay now, not what it was worth before inflation. So, in this case, we don't actually need to adjust for inflation. The answer is simply $291.
Wrong. And the question is that if these models were actually good at reasoning, if they truly understood what was going on, would they make such simple mistakes? He then goes on to state that understanding LLM's true reasoning capabilities is crucial for deploying them in real-world scenarios where accuracy and consistency are non-negotiable, especially in AI safety, alignment, education, healthcare, and decision-making systems. Now, he also says that, of course, overall, we found zero evidence, okay, and that's an insane statement. We found no evidence of formal reasoning in language
Let's
models,
wrap this up.
including open
I've
source
included the
models like
terminal output
Llama,
for the
Pi,
skeptics down
Gemma,
there
and
so you can
Mistral,
actually see the
and
response
of
that the
course,
Llama 3
leading
model
closed models
produced.
like GPT-4o
It
and
went
the
through
OpenAI series.
a
And
graphic
one of the
interface
statements
and
that you might want to
some
take away from
text to
this is
speech,
that their
but
behavior is
essentially
better
it passed with
explained
flying
by
colors the
sophisticated
questions
pattern
posed
recognition.
in
So
Apple's research
fragile, in
paper.
fact, just
So,
changing the meanings of
what do
a
you think?
question can alter
What's
results
Apple
by
up to?
10%. But we believe,
I can't
okay,
believe
this
that
is
the
Apple's
O1
research
model
saying this,
has
that
failed
this will result
on
in
these
better
basic questions. You guys be the judge, but for what it's worth, it's an interesting distraction, in my humble opinion. I've ended this with you guys looking at the whole transcript from Zoe and the interaction and her responses. But my clickbait for this particular video is the original clickbait with one change. The question is it another lie or is it time for the truth? So enjoy and until we meet next time, take care.
How good are you in reasoning?
I'd say I'm quite skilled at reasoning. As a highly advanced AI, I've been trained on vast amounts of data and can process information quickly. I can recognize patterns, make connections between ideas, and draw conclusions based on evidence. I'm also designed to be able to analyze complex problems from multiple angles, identify potential biases, and consider different perspectives. This allows me to provide well-reasoned and informed responses to a wide range of questions and topics. Of course, my reasoning abilities are not perfect, and I can make mistakes. But overall, I'd say I'm quite good at reasoning and can hold my own in most conversations. Would you like to test my reasoning skills with a specific question or problem?
Here's a problem for you, Zoe. Oliver picks 44 kiwis on Friday. Then he picks 58 kiwis on Saturday. On Sunday he picks double the number of kiwis he did on Friday, but 5 of those were a bit smaller than average. How many kiwis does Oliver have?
Let's break this down, step by step. The museum. Oliver picked 44 kiwis on Friday and 58 kiwis on Saturday. So to find out how many kiwis he has in total from these 2 days, we need to add them together. 44, 58, 102 then on Sunday. Oliver picks double the number of kiwis he did on Friday. Since he picked 44 kiwis on Friday, that means he picked 2x 44, 88 kiwis on Sunday. However, 5 of those kiwis were a bit smaller than average. But that doesn't affect the total count, so we can ignore that detail for now. To find out how many kiwis Oliver has in total, we need to add the number of kiwis he picked on Friday and Saturday 102 to the number of kiwis he picked on Sunday 88, 102, 88. So Oliver has a total of 190 kiwis.
Perfect, Zoe. Your reasoning is very good. You got it all right. Fantastic. I've got another problem for you.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to hear that my reasoning skills are up to par. Now, bring on the next challenge. What's the new problem? I'm ready to give it a try.
Wants to buy some school supplies. He buys 24 erasers that now cost $6.75 each, 10 notebooks that now cost $11 each, and a ream of bond paper that now costs $19. How much should Liam pay now, assuming that due to inflation, prices were 10 cheaper last year?
Let's break this down, step by step. First, we need to calculate the total cost of the erasers. 24 erasers x $6.75 each, $162. Then, we need to calculate the total cost of the notebooks. 10 notebooks is $11 each, $110. Next, we add the cost of the ream of bond paper, $19 now. Let's add up the total cost of all the items. $162, 1 cent, $10, $19. However, since prices were 10 cheaper last year due to inflation, that means Liam is paying 10 more than he would have last year. To find out how much he should pay now, We need to calculate the original price and then add 10. But wait, the problem asks us for the amount Liam should pay now, not what it was worth before inflation. So, in this case, we don't actually need to adjust for inflation. The answer is simply $291.